Have you been to one of these? No? Have you been to a trainer talk here? Anybody? Oh, so we're all seeing something new. Perfect. We're doing something different anyways. I was just curious. This is actually the first one I'm getting to be a part of, so I'm super, super excited. Thank you. So if you guys ever been to our Inside Look events, where you can tour our backstage areas, we do Inside Look here at Sea Lion, and we often do trainer talks as well. So the really beautiful part of our job is, of course, working with these beautiful animals, is we get to, train them behaviors that you see in the show. We train them behaviors you don't get to see. We do a lot of our training, though, in between shows, so you guys don't really ever get to see any of that. So this is always very, very exciting to do some training sessions. I'm going to we're actually going to do 3 different sea lions, all different ages. Some really fun stuff, and then I'm going to talk about it. We'll do it. It may go wrong, it may go right, we don't know. We're in this together. So I'm actually going to come out with you guys so I can talk to you guys out there. This is very informal, so if you have a question at the very end, just raise your hand and we're going to do some answers and questions if you have any questions. So I'll be here for that. So what we're going to do first is, if you've seen our show, a couple of places in our show, we do what we call a scamper. And that's basically, we train in A to B. Does anybody know what an A to B is? Yeah? So an A to B is simple. It's an animal who moves from point A to point B. So we call that an A to B. So those A to Bs, point A is right over here, and point B is those double doors, or right on this side of the pool, all the way in the water to the other side of the pool. So you'll see that in our show quite often, and usually our younger sea lions do that because it's a really, really good way to introduce an audience to them without being here on stage and for an extended amount of time. They're just really quickly on there, they see you guys, they hear you, but they have a place to go, right? A B point. So one of our sea lions, he's only 2 years old, you guys. His name is Lando. He's very cute. He is learning that. He has yet to do a show, so he hasn't done a show yet, but you'll see he's going to be very, very close pretty soon. All we need to do is add show music and things like that. So what we're going to add for this session is you guys. So what happens when you see a huge sea lion run on stage? What do you do? Exactly. So that's what we're going to do. But please contain yourself for the first time. The first time we're going to be very, very quiet, and we're just going to watch him do it. But on the second time, we're going to, oh gosh, let me get on stage. Wait, we're not ready. There he is. Good job being quiet, everybody. Oh gosh, I didn't mess him up. So that was actually really good for him, because he saw a trainer and he completely ignored me, which is what we should do. Sorry guys, I didn't know we were starting. Okay, we're going to do it again. This time, the moment you see him go from that A point right there, everyone do what you want to do. Go, ah, and we're going to see if he reacts to that. I'll do it too. There's that B point. Hey, Nicole. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, look at this. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Oh, wow. Oh, nothing. Let's give him a hand. So it seems to be a very simple behavior, but again, it is so important for these young guys to do something. And it could, again, the other scamper, we call it the water scamper. They stay in the water. He hasn't even begun that yet, but this one he's been learning. And he definitely sees you. He's not blind. He can see you out there. He's just so focused on that B point, because that's what we're training him to be, very focused. So the next part of that training session will be playing show music, right? Because that's the other thing that's happening during the show. Having about 5 people backstage walking around, because during our show we have people walking around bringing sea lions, so there's a lot of chaos backstage that happens, organized chaos. But all that stuff he needs to see. And he's seen a little bit of that backstage, so that will be very new to him. But as you can see, I mean, the fact that I was standing there and he didn't come to me like, hey, are you my trainer? That's amazing. That means that's telling us, I know what I'm doing. And a lot of times when you're training, sometimes they just surprise you. They communicate through their behavior, right? We can't talk to Lando like, hey, Lando, are you ready for a show? And he's not going to say, no, Josh. So you have to go by their behavior. And a lot of the training that you do, you might have a step in your mind, okay, this is what I'm going to do, but they might surprise you and tell you, hey, I'm over, I can go 2 steps before that, So that's kind of what Lando just showed all of us. So that's really, really awesome. So he's 2 years old, he's really, really tiny, so if you come back to our show, we have a 3-year-old that does the same scamper, Similar size. Lando is a little bit smaller because he's a year younger, but be looking out for that. So our next step is we are going to bring out Queso. Now Queso, oh, we have a Queso fan. Queso is, he turned 6 years old this year, so he's again a younger sea lion, but we say that we have 6 sea lions that play Clyde and Seymour in our shows here. Of those 6, we count him because he's been doing amazing, and he does a lot of those segments. He doesn't do every segment in the show, but he's doing a lot. So he's a star now. You know, he's moved on, he's graduated. So of those 6, you guys are going to see the youngest of those 6, which is Queso, and then you'll see Gunner, who is our oldest, and he just turned 25. So if you've seen our show in the past, we have swam with our sea lions. You do not see that in this current show. Unfortunately, because of COVID, when we had to wear masks, we couldn't get in the water with them because we couldn't take off our masks, right? Well, that's 2 years of them not being in the water with us. So we have to just do the retraining and all of that. So, however, with Queso, because he's 6 years old, he did start that training, getting in the water with him pre-COVID. Again, 2 years, we didn't get in the water with them, and now we're starting that back again. So you guys are going to get to see a session we call water work, not plural, just water work. And that means we are interacting with an animal in the water. So, but because it's going to be pretty conservative, and this is probably the first time he's ever done it with an audience, I'm going to talk through the steps that we do. When we enter their environment, we take it very, very seriously. We're humans. You can swim, you can be a Michael Phelps and be amazing, but no one can swim as good as a dolphin or a sea lion, right? They are made, this is their environment, so we take that very, very seriously. So our first step in training an in-water interaction with any of our animals, whether it's a killer whale, which we do get in the water still with them for safety reasons, right? We get in the water with our dolphins, and we get in the water with our sea lions. And the first thing that we train them is to, does anybody know? Anybody want to yell it out? What's the first thing? Yeah, husbandry. We do train them husbandry, but specifically to water work. In-water interactions, we train them to ignore the person in the water. Just ignore it, right? Because we don't want them to be fixated, we want to ignore it. And once they are ignoring that person, and they don't even care about that person, and they're like, whatever, there's a person floundering around in the water, okay, cool. That's when we move that next step, and now we're interacting with them in the water. So we're going to be showing you a little bit of that. Queso has done a little bit of both. So there he is, say hi, Queso. Again, he turned 6 years old this year. He's very, very adorable. You can see he's bigger than Lando. All right, and that's Nicole. Nicole, you can stand by the food. That's fine. Stand by the food. Yeah, just stand by the food there. Yeah, we want this to be very easy. And that's Megan. She's actually worked with Queso the longest. Megan's been here for about 12 years now. Yeah. So as you can see, she's just kind of making noise. She's splashing. She's going to slip into the water. Okay, so if you're watching his behavior, he's just eye contact with Nicole. He can hear Megan. He knows she's there. Now she's going to jump in. You see Queso just look a little bit. All right, so he's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So we're probably going to repeat that. So you might think, well, of course he's going to look, but actually what we do is we train him to completely ignore it. So we're going to probably try that again. He's going to jump in the water. Much better, yeah. Did you guys see his slight tilt? I mean, he took that right eye and just kind of looked, but that's fine. He still had his focus on Nicole, so that's great. So our next step is to do all of that, but in the water. So Queso will actually be in the water. And what we call this, we just call this a chin-up. So very much like a bottlenose dolphin or one of the killer whales. That's kind of stationary. It just says, hey, are you paying attention to me? Are you interacting with me? Yes, you are. Okay, thank you. Just stay right there on this edge of the stage, nice and chinned up. So Megan's in the water. Queso is fully free to go and check out Megan, right? There's no barrier there. He's free to go and say, hey, what are you doing in the water? But what you're seeing is a lot of months of work of just ignore that person in the water. Just ignore. He's going to swim right by her. He's going to get reinforced. So of course you guys, if you've seen any of our talks, I'm sure you guys as past orders know about reinforcement, right? So this is one type of reinforcement is fish. It's called primary reinforcement. Not because it's the most important, but it's because any primary reinforcement is what they need to survive. So water, shelter, fish, all that's primary reinforcement. Nicely done, queso. So that was really, really good for him, especially for an audience. Now, we have done sessions where he would start interacting with the person in the water. Megan has actually done that. We just wanted to be very conservative for you guys. So what we're going to do now is actually bring out Gunnar, the 26-year-old, and Megan's going to get in the water with him and just kind of do a fun relationship building session. Again, Gunnar is 26 years old, so he's been in the water with us for most of his life, so it's not new to him. So the purpose of this is to show you what we're working on with Queso, right? So right now, Queso didn't interact with Megan at all. He just ignored her. That's what we want. And then what we're building towards is what you'll see Gunnar doing with Megan in the water, which is completely interacting with her and doing fun things. Of course, it's fun for us, but it's nice. It's a nice change for Gunnar as well, right? So part of our job as animal trainers is to make sure that every day is different for them. So Gunnar doesn't always come out here at 5:15 and get in the water with us, right? So he didn't do that yesterday. He didn't do that the day before. Today's a different day. So every day is a little different. There's Gunnar, everyone. A cool thing about Gunnar, you'll see, if you've ever met Gunnar, if you've done our Sea Lion Up Close tour, if you've done any of our VIP tours, Gunnar does some of those. He also participates in our shows still. Even though he's 26, he is pretty healthy for an older sea lion. So on average, sea lions live to be about 20 years old in their natural environment. So he's obviously already extended that. But in a zoological facility, they can live up into their late 20s. So he's getting up there. He's definitely getting up there, but he's moving really well, and he's really, really adjusted to his older age. He does have cataracts. That's very common for pinnipeds, so seals, walruses, sea lions can grow cataracts. The cool thing about Gunnar is he's had 2 lens replacement surgeries here at SeaWorld. The first one he had was pretty revolutionary, so it's his eyes are much better because of those 2 surgeries, so that's really good. But he does have some limited vision, so you'll see there's a lot of we're helping him a lot because his vision is not where it used to be for sure. So what you just saw is Nicole, we call it a recall, which is calling him away from the trainer, and that's what she just did. So that was a behavior called a shark. If you guys know, way back in our pirate days when we used to be pirates, the sea lions would come in and swim around us with their flipper in the air. He did that. I actually trained that behavior, didn't I? That was me. I did that. I trained that behavior. I forgot. Do it again. We didn't see it. Yeah, I forgot. That was like my first in-water behavior that I ever trained with a sea lion. So yeah, so he still knows all the behaviors. We don't do it in shows now. A little secret is we are trying to find out ways to get this back in our current presentation, so we are working on it. So especially with those sea lions that are younger and haven't done it yet before. He's like, I want to do that shark. So we are working on getting that back in our shows for not only for you guys but for us and for the sea lions. What a good boy. So one of the things. Okay, so she's going to do another recall where she's just going to basically call his name. Nicely done. And the purpose of this is just if anything looks weird, like say the trainer's uncomfortable or she gets a cramp and now she's like has a sea lion but her leg's cramping up, we want to make sure that sea lion is going to respond to their name no matter what, right? And it's just a safety thing that all of our animals go through. A whale or a dolphin, they don't have name calls, right, because they can't hear. So theirs is that slap on the water or a tone underneath the surface of the water, that noise. But with our sea lions, we can actually, use our names. So it's just one of those important safety things that we train all our animals for these in-water interactions. Looks like he's having so much fun with her. If I ever stop talking, you can actually hear her talking to him. That's one of the good things. I work with dolphins, I work with sea lions, of course I work with otters and walruses. One of my favorite things about working with sea lions and otters is that they can hear your voice. They're just like big dogs with flippers. So it's a nice touch as far as communicating with them. So Megan just asked for a behavior called a roar at the There it is. I think he's got it now. Oh, he doesn't. So she's looking for him too. You've seen it in our show where they jump up on the glass and roar at you on the glass. She was looking for that behavior. Thank you, Gunnar. Thank you, Megan, so much. Thank you, Nicole. So you don't really get to see that very often, so that's very fun, right? Does anybody have any questions? I'll come to you. We'll do this for a minute.